Yeah, Deji. I call on our speaker to have the floor. Honorable, the floor is yours. We are here to learn from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to us all. I'm very honored to be the guest speaker for this afternoon's event. So let me just move straight to the program for the day. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, I think I have this. Okay. So as we all know, okay. One note. I'm having an issue with my camera. I've been trying to fix it, but it's not working. So you would all pardon me for that. But I'm pretty sure my face is on the flyers that circulated. So that's not a big deal. Okay, so let me start. So as we all know, today's talk is about manuscript writing, and then what is manuscript writing? What are the in and outs of it? What skills do we need? What things you need to look out for? So I'll first start by giving a brief intro about what manuscript writing is and what are the reasons, or why do we need to write manuscripts? What are the types of manuscripts, and then the features of manuscript. This section is just the introduction, and then after that we'll talk about how to format our manuscripts. That's formatting our manuscripts. What we need to do.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you kindly go into presentation mode so that the other distracting surface interface would leave? Yeah. So yeah.
Just a minute.
Okay. No, at the top left-hand side. Before redo. Yeah. Yeah, top left-hand side at the top, just after redo, there is something that looks like a cup.
Sure.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. So after the intro, as I said, we'll move into how to format our manuscript, what we need to do, and then we look at referencing types and then referencing tools, best practices, and then journal selection, what we need to look out for when we are selecting our journals. So as postgraduate students, one of the main headache is how to publish our research findings. In some of the schools for master's students as well, it's also one of the requirements. But for PhD students, it's a must. It's a must for graduation, and that is one of the nightmares of most PhD students in China. So what is actually what do we mean by a manuscript? So a manuscript is actually an academic document, which is not in its final form, that is either yet to be submitted or has been submitted for review. So that's what. So it's just like some sort of like a rough work. Okay, that is still open to corrections, suggestions, and then so that's basically what we mean by a manuscript. So what are the main objectives of writing a manuscript? Why do we have to even write a manuscript? So for us as students, the main objective of writing a manuscript is to get our research findings published. That's the main reason. So every day you hear students going to the lab, I'm going to the lab. Even in my school, sleeping in the lab overnight for 2-3 nights is normal. It's just to get our research findings published. That's the main reason. Then, aside that, that's getting our research findings published would also help us to meet our degree requirements to be awarded our master's or our PhD, and then also to get promotion at work. For those who work in academia, in the universities and the research institutes, you need to get your research findings published. You have to get a number of publications to get promotion. And then in the long term is to become an expert, because the more you write, the more you get your work published, the more you are visible academically out there, and the more recognition you get. But when we talk about a manuscript, we have two types. For we as masters and PhD students, we are required to either publish or get our findings published in either conference proceedings or journals. So let's see the difference between a journal manuscript and then a conference manuscript. That's a manuscript meant for journal publication, and then that's meant for conference proceedings. So for that of the journal, it contains more details. So you have to give a detailed description of your research findings, from the introduction to your methodology, to your results and analysis, and then your conclusion. And then also the requirement for journal manuscript is more stringent. That is, we are required to do more when we are putting together our manuscript for journal publication, unlike that of the conference proceedings. So for conference proceedings, it's not too detailed as compared to the journal manuscript, and the requirement for the conference proceedings too are not as stringent as that of the journal. Usually for conference proceedings, the pages are usually between 6 to 8 pages, maximum around 10 maximum. But for a journal manuscript, you have to go beyond 10 pages. Some go even as close to 20 pages. And then for manuscripts, if your manuscript is actually targeted for a journal publication, the review process takes time. The back and forth, it takes time. So you send your manuscript to be reviewed, you send it back to be reviewed. Unlike that of the conference, that the review time is very short, because the conference is time bound, because it's within a specific time frame, a date. So that time or that deadline would have to be met by yourself and then the conference organizers. And then for the journal manuscript, it can be sent at, and you can send your manuscript for review at any time in the year. As soon as your manuscript is ready, you can send it. Unlike that for the conference manuscripts, like I said earlier, it is time bound. So you cannot send your manuscript after the conference. So these 4 or 5 points are the general difference between the journal manuscript and then the conference manuscript. Now, what are the features? What are the features of a manuscript? What should your manuscript contain? how academically heavy should it be. So the first thing is high quality writing. The writing must be very technical. You should use the jargons or the terms for that particular field. And then the ideas also must be very coherent. Very coherent in the sense that when you are moving from one point to another point or one section to another section, the reader must even especially for the last paragraph, okay, the reader must be aware that he or she is moving or transitioning from one section to another section. And then for the first point, that is where most students usually find themselves wanting, especially with the quality of English. And we'll come to how to solve that. And then the second point is the purpose of the study. I remember one professor back in Ghana used to highlight about that you could read thesis work, you could read manuscript, and the purpose of the study is not clearly stated. So for a manuscript, the purpose of the study must be stated, and then establish how the study would contribute to knowledge. It's not just about putting your findings together and just write, or it's not really about replicating existing knowledge. So aside the purpose of the study being clearly stated, you have to also establish how the study would contribute to knowledge or extend the boundary of knowledge. And also the third feature also is about the fact that the research questions must clearly be stated. The research questions, what your findings seek to answer. What your findings seek to answer, because and usually also there's this disconnect between the research findings and the research questions. We should do well to focus on that there should be a connection between your research findings and then your research question, because the research findings, your results are meant to answer your research questions. And then the next point is informative literature review. Informative literature review. The literature review, the main essence of the literature review is to show to whoever is reading how wide and how deep you are in the field that you are studying. How wide. So how many papers have you read in that field and how you understand it? So that is the basis of a literary review. And again, my professor back in Ghana used to tell me that the literary review is for you. I don't look at the literary review. If you want to give 1,000 references, no problem. But it only indicates how wide you have read. And then also the literary review shouldn't be like a narrative, just narrating, okay, this person did this, this person did that, and Kwame in Beijing did this, and Amma in Shanghai did this, and Kweku in Harbin did that. No, you have to synthesize the studies in a sense that you have to look out for research gaps. Okay, so in terms of methodology, okay, let me use food because I usually like food. Okay, so Amma used charcoal to prepare rice. Kweku used the oven to prepare rice. Another person used the rice cooker to prepare rice. Okay, so looking at their ways of cooking the rice, this is what I have found in terms of research gap. Okay, so aside narrating your knowledge in existing information, you have to also come out with a research gap, either in their results or in their methodology. So we have to try as much as possible to synthesize existing knowledge. And then the other feature is we should clearly describe our method. This part of the feature is very important to we all as researchers, especially, should I say, those of us in the physical science. Okay, so that is how we propagate knowledge. You should describe your methodology, the steps or the procedures you use in arriving at your results. You should describe it in such a way. It should be like a manual, in such a way that even in your absence, okay, you could prepare. You could have your research in China, but someone in Botswana or let's say in Uganda or Mozambique should also take your description of your methodology, follow it through step by step, and arrive at the same results. And when we read some history of science, like and the shooter for J.J. Thomson, you'd realize that that is how they also improved upon their existing knowledge. So we should, our description of the methodology especially shouldn't be ambiguous. There shouldn't be different meaning to it. The English should be clearly stated. It should be clear. It should have only one meaning, and there shouldn't be gaps in it. Okay, and then the next point is facts backed by data. Of course, academic writing. Okay, it's not like some of the arguments we all have on our various groups or in our classrooms or in our dormitories, where you could just state any fact without backing it by data. Every fact that is stated, especially in your conclusion, in the conclusion section of your manuscript, should be backed by data. So if you are going to make a certain statement in your results, in your analysis, or your conclusion, and you cannot relate it to any information in your results, you don't go there. In as much as you feel that information or that fact would make your manuscript in quotes very heavy, you don't state it if it is not backed by a fact or it's not backed by data in your results. And then the next point is the manuscripts you are writing, the information that the manuscript is going to contain should extend the boundary of knowledge. It should extend the frontier of knowledge. If it's just going to state an already existing fact, if it's going to state what we already know, that something we already know, then it will not, whoever is going to publish your work will not put priority on your manuscript, because it's not stating anything new. It's not going to be attractive out there in terms of citation. Because don't forget that the publisher will also need writers who are coming out with new facts to also improve upon the index of that journal. So your manuscript should, as much as possible, it's a must that it should extend the frontier of knowledge. Last but not least, you should clearly explain all terms used. Some terms are common. Some terms are common in our field of study. Those ones is a fact. Let's say someone who is into physics, studying motions and mechanics. Okay, the small letter A, we all know, or let's say the small letter V, right, is for velocity. That we all know. So in that case, if you use the small letter V, there's no need to explain. But if you use any other term only known to you for the purpose of writing a manuscript, then you have to clearly explain that term that you used. So in general, these are the features that your manuscript should contain: high quality writing, appropriate text, clear research questions, informative literary review, clear description of methods, facts backed by data, contribute to knowledge, and then clearly explain and appropriately used terms. Now, after knowing all this that is expected of our manuscript, how do we put the manuscript
Sorry,
together?
I have a question. I don't know if it's right to ask, or I wait till you finish.
Okay, I think it will be best if I finish.
Okay, it is in the chat box though.
Okay. So after knowing all this background of our manuscripts, how do we put the manuscripts together? So in the world of AI, we have some tools that would help us in putting our manuscripts together. That does not also mean that the presence of these tools, okay, eliminates the essence of human contribution. Those tools are not to do the entire work for you. Okay, it's just to aid in writing our manuscript. So as you can see on the slide, NB. Okay, I said that whilst a writing assistant is not going to replace the need for the writer, okay, the right tool can help in improving readability, reduce grammar mistakes, and avoid plagiarism. These are the three important assistance that you can get from some of these AI tools. Again, it is because it's just an artificial intelligence, okay, and that AI, don't forget, was written, or that code was also written by a human being. So it doesn't take away the human factor. But these are the three reasons why these AI tools may be needed, okay, to improve the readability, to reduce grammar mistakes, and then to avoid plagiarism. So we on what basis, or what are the factors that we going to choose our writing assistant tool? So we are going to choose tools or programs based on their robustness. So it's about their accuracy, the ease of use, the relative affordability, and then compatible with common writing tools. Number one is accuracy. Number one, how accurate is that writing assistant tool? And then how easy is it to use? Because again, we need our manuscripts published. Okay, we need our manuscript published to help us meet a certain deadline to graduate. So if your tool will require you to spend months or even a year in learning how to use it, then I would advise you don't use it. Or how expensive or how cheap does it come? And then also it must be compatible with other writing tools, most especially your Word documents. Okay, so you must see how the writing assistant tool is compatible to, let's say, your PowerPoint, or let's say to your Word document. Okay, so these are some of the tools we have. You can see it on your screen. We have Jasper, we have Copy AI, we have Grammarly, and then we have Readable. So picking them one by one. So these are the common ones that we all know, or we all have in our system. So Grammarly, what does it do? Generally, okay, it just fixes the English. So it corrects grammar and then punctuations, and then writes full. research writing on sentence and then structure, trinker, correct in domain, usage and style. And then for the language to pro writing aid, Microsoft editor, Qbolt, and then Ginger. So these are the common writing assistant tools we have. But of course, in the world of AI, every day, every month, every week, new ones come. But I believe this is what is common among students, especially here in China. And then Chat GPT, a very common one, which has its issues. It has its ethical issues and the rest. So this is an AI writing assistant tool that helps to generate ideas, okay, prompts and content. Again, it's helped to generate ideas. So mostly students, since they discovered Chat GPT, they thought, oh, okay, voila, my whole headache about manuscript writing has ended. I found my Messiah. There was one day Johnson was telling me about the fact that some friends go pick a code from Chat GPT and then expect it to work. And when it doesn't work, they are surprised. Chat GPT is just to help you generate the idea for a start. Okay. Personally, I remember when I was about writing my chapter one for my thesis, I didn't know how to start. Frank, I didn't know how to start. So I used Chat GPT for my first paragraph. And then I paraphrased it, and then I was good to go. So these are some of the examples, or these are some of the limitations of Chat GPT. So let's look at one example. For example, if you want to talk about quantum computing, right, in simple terms. So what is the capability of the Chat GPT? Okay. Remembers what the user said earlier in conversations. So Chat GPT on its own doesn't have the idea, but it picks what, let's say, people have said or what people have written on quantum computing, okay, and it gives it to you. So that's why some of these tools are updated day in, day out, okay. And then what is limitation? It may occasionally generate incorrect information, because don't forget that it's picking what people have said on that topic, what people have written on that topic, which some may be right, some may be wrong. So when we are using some of these tools, we should know that it's just a pool. They have just generated a pool of knowledge, right or wrong. It's a pool of knowledge. Okay, so when using some of these things, we should be quite careful about that. And then Qbolt, your word matters, and our paraphrasing tool is designed to ensure you use the right ones. So this is also one AI writing assistant tool. But for this, it doesn't generate ideas for you, like the Chat GPT. This doesn't generate ideas for you, but it paraphrases it. Okay, so your own words, you give it with, it paraphrases it. Let's say academic, formal, informal, or whatever the intensity of the language you want to use. That's what Qbolt does for you. And then what are some of the search engines we have? Again, in putting our manuscripts together, we will need search engines, because I know most of us, including myself, going to the library is something we don't like doing. And the last time I remember I I went to library, was my undergrad, I think second year in KNUST, one Saturday. I went there, all I did was to sleep and came back. Since the library has never been my thing. So we thank the AI guys who have come out with these search engines for us. So a search engine is a software program that helps people to find information they're looking for online using keywords or phrases. So you just put in your keywords or phrases and then it helps you to find the information that you need. So these are some of the common ones. Again, the examples I give in this presentation is not exhaustive. Okay, I just try to list the common ones that we have. Okay, like Google, like Yahoo, like Bing. For Bing, I never knew about it until I came to China. So you have Wikicom, we have Twitter, we have the Internet Archive, SlideShare. But for Google, for the purpose of academic work, I would suggest that in Google we limit or we narrow it down to Google Scholar, especially if you're looking for articles. If it's just a general idea of something technical, you want to have a basic idea before you move on into details, fine, Google is okay. But if you're looking for the technical knowledge of whatever you are writing on in terms of journals and conference proceedings, then you go into Google Scholar and not Google. And then advanced search online. How do we search online? Okay, so these are some few tips, if I may say, on how to search online. So if you use END, so END narrows your search. Okay, it gives you more specific results or outcomes. And then or what happens that any occurrence of either word, so either that or that, so that's what the word or in your search gives you. And then if you use the word not, then it removes that word from the search. So any page that or any document that contains that word, of course, will be taken out. If your search word or if your search sentence includes not, then that's what the outcome is going to be. And then some open access we can use. So we have some from our various schools. It can be university, it can be research institute, and then you can also have access to research papers or social science research network, imprint in library and information science, data in brief, that's Elsevier, and then digital common DS, DSpace, ePrints, Zendo, open science framework, and what have you. So these are some sources that we can you can source for information. They are open access, so there's no issue about with payment. And then this I tried to make this slide as clear as possible, but I tried my best. So if you're looking for books, okay, if you're looking for books, you have the list there. I wouldn't mind sharing the slide after the talk. And then if you're looking for research articles, you also have it there. Journals. If you're looking for downloads, you are if you are also looking for conferences, source codes, and then plagiarism detection to edit articles. So these are some of the useful resource links. Okay, for the research articles, the common ones are there, the Science Hub LA, the Science Hub HK, the Science Hub TW. They are all there. Okay, so after we have all these AI tools to help us generate the idea, to help us paraphrase our work and everything. Now, how do we format the work? How do we present the work to whoever is going to publish? So let's look at how to format our manuscript, or formatting our manuscript. So first and foremost, it's not in the order, it's not in any order of importance. Okay. So the first point we have here is the font size. So what font size are we using? The common one, and I think the convention is to use the 0.12 type. Okay, that the font size is the 0.12 type, and then also the font style Times New Roman, and then double space the manuscript, no extra space between the paragraph, only one space between the sentence, indent each paragraph ½ inch, and then the text should be flash left, ragged right, and not justified. And then, of course, the text itself should be in black, the background in white, just like a normal print on a paper. The background should be white, the text should be in black, and then the margin should be one inch margin. Okay, and then you should create a header with the title followed by your last name and the page number. Last but not least, okay, after you've followed all these points, last but not least, you have to proofread the manuscript yourself. Again, the fact that you use all the writing assistant tools, the ChatGPT, the Cubot, and all those for the ideas and all the paraphrasing doesn't mean that you shouldn't proofread it. Again, let's not take away the essence of the human input in our manuscript reading, in as much as we have all these tools available to us. So in formatting your manuscript, okay, these are the points, or these are the tasks. These are the tasks that you have to undertake in formatting your manuscript. That notwithstanding, some of the journals or some of the conferences that are being organized, okay, also have their specific requirements in terms of formatting their work. So if that be, then you also have to go through those tasks or procedures. But in general, these are the tasks that we have to undertake in formatting our manuscript. Referencing tools and types. Why should we reference? I'll just summarize this part in one word. There's this saying that on the shoulders of giants we stand. I think it's a common saying, especially in research and academia, that on the shoulders of giants we stand. Everything that you do, okay, is on the basis of someone's work. Everything that you do is on the basis of someone's work, whether it is experimental, whether it's theoretical, whether it is numerical. You are working on the foundation of someone's work. So you have to acknowledge that person. You have to give that respect to whose idea or whose language or whose work you have used in communicating your research findings. So that's why we need to reference, and how do we reference it, and what tools do we use? So for some of the referencing tools, okay, we have it on the right-hand side of your screen. So we have the EndNotes, we have the RefWorks, we have the Word, we have the ReadCube, we have the Mendeley. Those ones that are those ones that are boldened, okay, are those ones that I have personally used or I'm using. The rest I have no experience in that. And again, why do we have to reference? If there's no penalty for not referencing, then why should I bother myself even in the first place to reference? There is a penalty for not referencing. If you don't reference, there's a penalty. And for not referencing, you commit an offense which we all know as plagiarism. So basically, plagiarism is an act or instance of using or closely imitating the language, thoughts, or ideas of another author without authorization, and the presentation of that author's work as one's own, as by not crediting the original author. Plagiarism can be deliberate. You can deliberately not reference the person, pretend, or it can be an oversight. Yes, you didn't know. That notwithstanding, it's still an offense, which can lead to the withdrawal of your academic certificate. That is, if it's on the basis of that published work, you were awarded a degree or a promotion, that degree or promotion can be withdrawn. And especially for some of the students who aim at getting into politics one day, okay, there is saying that in Ghana, if you want to know where your grandmother was born, get into politics, and you know where your grandmother was born. So if you are aiming at being a public figure one day, because I remember there was one politician in Ghana who, just for the purpose of political expediency, his master's work was relooked at the University of Ghana, and it brought a whole lot of issue. Haruna Idrisu. Okay, so I've already stated these referencing tools. And then what are the referencing styles? We have so many referencing styles, but these are the 10 I could list. So we have the American Medical Association, the 11th edition. We have the Chicago Manual of Style, the 17th edition, the Modern Humanities Research Association, 3rd edition. And then we have the IEEE, and then we have the Vancouver referencing styles. And with this referencing style, every institution, every journal, and every conference has its way of reference. That's its referencing style. So I would employ us to look at it, because it will be very, very sad and very frustrating trying to meet a deadline, and just because of referencing style, not because of the main work, or not because of the information in your manuscripts, but because of a common referencing style that can just be done in less than a minute. Your work will be sent back to you to change the referencing style, and that could also take months or weeks if it's for a journal publication. So these are some of the referencing styles. For the referencing styles, I was told this whole presentation is it's a 2-hour presentation, but if there's a little time, I could do that for some of them using Mendeley or using Word, the referencing styles, and then we see how they differ. But I was able to give a screenshot of a few of the referencing styles. That's the APA. The APA is a common one aside the IEE. So you have the APA here, we have the Chicago style, and we have the MLA. That's the Modern Language, the Modern Language Association style also. So you have them on your screen. You can see the differences in them. Okay, so for example, if you look at the APA style, right? You could see that the year, right? The year comes first. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let's look at the APA style, the manual. So APA, the APA 2010 manual publication of the APA 6th edition, Washington DC, Arthur, and then we also look at the Chicago style, and then the MLA style. Okay, as I said, for this screenshot, you may not actually see the difference, but if there's time, okay, I could do that using Mendeley and then Word briefly for us to see how they change. So we have them here. I used one published work of a friend back in Ghana to show the difference between the MLA, the APA, and the Chicago, the Harvard, and then the Vancouver styles. Okay. I hope there's we have time to have one hand-on work on that. Okay. So plagiarism check. Okay.
So I don't know if it's your microphone, but we can't hear you. You can get closer to your microphone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's a lot better now, thanks.
Okay. So for plagiarism, okay, the publisher has its way of also checking for plagiarism. Okay. But we shouldn't leave that to the publisher, because it will again be very embarrassing. Okay, it will be again very embarrassing if you send out your work and the results on plagiarism is very bad. It will be very, very embarrassing. In fact, you lose credibility if you are to send your manuscripts to that publisher in the future. So you have to also do your plagiarism check to know to what extent, okay, like to what extent have you plagiarized other people's work. It will be very, very difficult to have a result of 0%. To be very, very difficult. And a result of 0% is extremely perfect. Extremely perfect. And a result of 100% is extremely embarrassing. Okay, so there's always that in between. And most academic institutions, most journal publishers, conference proceedings, right? They usually have a maximum of 20. I know some schools in Ghana. I think UNE has a maximum around 15 or so. Legon, I think Legon is around 20. Okay, yes, but there are also some tools that can also help you to check your plagiarism. Most institutions use Turnitin. Yes, and I want to advise asked about Turnitin. I would advise you don't use your own login detail in Turnitin for your own work. If your work is not the final work. Okay, so this is what my colleagues and I were doing back in Ghana. So let's say I could use Johnson's details, okay, to log in and then check for my plagiarism, and then he could also use mine also to do same. Because what happens is that if it is not the final work, let's say you are done with introduction, you are writing your methodology and want to check your plagiarism, and you put it in. What happens is that subsequently, if you put it in again, okay, it's going to detect your own work as a plagiarized work. Okay, so that's what we're using back in Ghana. We're using each other's accounts to check our plagiarism level. Okay, and even with that, there's no need to check for introduction, to check for methodology, to check for results and conclusion. You can do that when you have everything in one piece, and then you do that. Okay. And then evaluating journal quality. So after we put together our manuscript and everything, how do we get it published? For the conference proceedings, that is not really a problem, because it's a conference. Yes. So like I said earlier, it's not really much of a big deal. The requirement doesn't really matter, though it matters, but it's not so stringent. Okay, few number of pages, everything summarized, yes. But for the journal, you have to meet, some of the professors will tell you that you have to publish in a journal with a high impact factor. So how do you get that high impact factor? And you get that by getting the what we call the quality factor. That's the QF. So what's the quality factor? When you talk about quality factor, okay, it's a certain metric, and the metric comes as a figure, okay, that is calculated yearly for journals that are indexed in the journal quality factor report. So it's an annual it's an annual assessment of the impact factor of the journals that are indexed. Okay, and why should we look out for journals that are indexed? Why not ones that are not indexed, so that you can just, why should I care about whether it's indexed or not indexed? Now, and when an article is indexed, okay, it shows how visible that journal is. It shows how visible that journal is in the world of academia. Okay, and then it also tells you how good the journal is. Okay, and then this quality factor, okay, also helps you to track. Okay, it helps you to track the merit of the journal, because, like I said earlier, the assessment is done every year. Okay, and then the yearly assessment is based on how those journals are cited by other writers within a certain academic year. Not our normal academic year, can be any year, any time frame within January and December. So let's say this year, a journal could have a very high impact factor. That means that it was cited a lot of times by other researchers. And then also in another year, it could have a very low QF because it wasn't cited so much. Okay, so you would want to know or track, okay, the merit of that journal. So if I want to let's say, publish a work, say in January, next 2 months, I'd want to know how the QF of that journal this year, or let's say last year. Okay, so if my professor is asking me to publish in a journal that has, let's say, an impact factor of, let's say, 5, for example, 5.0, and I come across a journal, okay, that has an impact factor of, let's say, 1.2 as a last year, definitely this year is not going to have an impact factor even like closer to even 3. Okay, so it helps us to track the merit of the journal, and then also it also helps us to compare 2 or more journals. Okay, so with the impact factors, okay, so if I have 3 or more or 2 or more, okay, with the QF, I can be able to assess their merit based on the figures that I have in front of me. So that's also one reason why it is important that journals are indexed. And then also, it also helps to detect, okay, it helps you to detect which journals follow ethical publication rules. Some of the journals, they don't mind, they don't care about any ethical rules. Just bring it, pay some money, and then you are good to go. Okay, so the indexing also helps us to know which journals follow these laid down rules and which ones too that don't mind. Okay, so for some of the top indexed ones that we have, okay, so we have Scopus, which we all know. We have the Science Citation Index, the Social Citation Index. We have PubMap. Okay, we have and for some of them, they are specific to certain countries. For example, we have the CNKI, that's the China National Knowledge Index, that's the CNKI. Okay, and then we have one too for Pakistan, that's the HEC journal, that's the HEC journal. So, and basically, if you want to evaluate the quality of any journal, okay, you search for it by its name. So you just type the name and then look for its index, or you quote the ISSN. Every journal has its ISSN. So if you quote the ISSN, you're able to know its index, whether it's indexed or not. Okay, and then you could also know its impact factor. Okay, so this is the end of my my presentation. I try to make everything very short so that we can have some time for me to show some hands-on, especially with the referencing. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much
Thank you
for
very much.
that succinct and elaborate and insightful presentation. We'll be going on to the question and answers Q&As. However, there are a few questions in the chat box that I would like to read to you. And I can see that the academic units from both sides have done quite an extensive job to explain or answer these questions. However, if you still want to take them, I would be happy to read them to you.
Okay.
All right. So the first question is from Williams. He says that the text in conclusion should be backed by facts in the work. Does that mean we use, example, some few correlation figures in the conclusion?
Again, the text in conclusion should be backed by facts in the work. Does it mean you should use example, some few correlation figures in the conclusion?
In the conclusion, yes.
No. So what I mean by fact is that what I mean by data, okay, is that you can make reference. So if, let's say, there's a figure, okay, or there's a graph that you have in your results section, okay, and you are concluding based on that, okay, you can make reference to it, okay. But what it just means is that if you are going to state a fact and there's no data backing it, you don't make that, like, you don't state that fact. I'll give an example. For example, if your manuscript is about review papers, okay, like review papers. So in that case, you don't have, let's say, your own results, but you are just reviewing different papers, as many as you can. Now, if you want to conclude, let's say you want to state a fact in terms of research gap in either result or methodology, okay, and what you are stating is not in any of the papers you have reviewed, or there is no available work or data by either you or someone else to back that statement, you don't make it, because whoever is reading would go back to your work to see if there was any reference made earlier, or there's any information to back that conclusion. Okay, so the conclusion doesn't necessarily, it shouldn't be like you are presenting figures or tables. Okay, conclusions are in words, but you should make reference to an existing information earlier made in the work, or if there's none, then you don't state that fact, or you don't make that that statement. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I was able to answer that. Yeah.
Williams, I hope that helps. So I'll take one more question from the chat,
please.
and then
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Williams. I'll take one more question from the chat, and then there's a hand up we'll take from the speaker and then come back to the chat again. There are several questions in the chat, but we'll go simultaneously with the hands up, so we don't leave one behind. There's another question from Rich Mondai. He wants to know if these tools are free. I'm sure he's talking about the AI tools that you presented in your work.
Okay. Just a minute. These ones.
Yes, I believe these ones. Richmond, if you're online, can you confirm?
Yeah, some are not. So for example, Grammarly has the free version, but you wouldn't really get what you want, and you are also limited to daily number of paraphrasing or corrections. Okay, but you don't really get especially for academic writing, you don't really get the real formal language that you want it to be, unless you pay. Yeah, so for okay, so for those that I have down there, okay, we have the free version. Okay, so not all of them are free. Like I said, these are the ones that I know. Okay, we have the free version, but you're not going to get a full package, right? For Grammarly, I purchased one about 3 months ago. That was around 100 and something RMB a year. 100 and some RMB, but less than 200 RMB a year. I think 150 thereabouts. So if anyone is interested, the person can contact me, and then I can link the person to whoever I bought it from. I'm not the one selling it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I believe that answers your question, Ms. Monai. Nana Kwame, your hand is up. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I hope I can be heard.
Yeah, sure, you can be heard.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Daze, for a nice presentation. And mine is not a question, it's an add-up. I want to add it to your presentation. Yeah. And I think that would help some of my colleagues too. So I would like to start it from where you just ended on the referencing aspect. In that case, I would want to advise my colleagues or those who are yet to write their manuscript, or those who don't have enough in-depth knowledge about those writing manuscript. Before you would want to write your manuscript, please try in as much as possible to know the which journal you would want to send your manuscript to. Because if you do it generally, yes, of course, you can do it generally as Doctor has presented, but then after you look out for the type of journal or which journal you would want to submit, they also have their requirements, or they have guidelines that you would have to follow. And in that aspect, sometimes you have to modify your manuscript small in terms of the referencing aspect, and then in terms of how your manuscript should be arranged. Some of the subheadings or the subtitles, and even sometimes they will ask you to, or they would like you to bring the results before the methodology. Yeah, so in order not to waste much time, or in order not to waste resource, you have to look out for the type, which journal you would want to. Then after you've gotten the suitable journal for your manuscript, you look out for their style, and then before you start writing a manuscript. So when you are writing a manuscript, then you would be going according to how they want you to arrange your manuscript. And also the referencing aspect, you will know how they want you to which style they would want you to use the referencing aspect, so that it wouldn't be so much tedious for you. And then in addition, Dr. Dazi just mentioned a review work. So in a manuscript, the format of writing a review work is a little bit different from writing a research paper or like experimental paper. So in that aspect too, how you have to write it. And I think maybe if there is an opportunity, Doctor can help to know, or can help you to know how to write a manuscript for a review paper. Yeah, so that's what I have now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Naomi, for the submission. The next question is, some journal platforms require a specific limitation on the volume of references. Example, not more than 40 references. In that case, what would be your advice? Reduction of the citation plus text of the main work?
Okay, so for let's go back to this slide. Okay, so there's a difference between referencing and citation. So in the work, so in your actual work, okay, what to do is you cite. Okay, so if I make a statement from someone's work, I have to cite the person in the work. So for the in-text, that's the cite. You are citing, or like if I make a citation, right? You are citing. But at the end of your work, the list, you have to have a list of all your citations in the text. Okay, so that's where you have the reference or the referencing list. Okay, now, so certainly your referencing and your citations, the number will be the same. And mostly is the introduction or the theoretical background or the literature review is where we usually have more of our citations. So if you have any journal, okay, that limits you to a number of citations, okay, or references, let's say 40, then you should know how you cite. Because, for example, you can have about 5 citations for the same fact, or you can make one statement and you could have about 5 or even more references for that same statement. So if you have any journal that limits you to let's say 40 or let's say 20, then you don't go citing multiple references for the same statement, so that you wouldn't exhaust your list in just about, let's say, 3 paragraphs. Then you are done with your 40. Okay, so in that sense, you limit your multiple citations for one statement, so that you don't exhaust that number too early. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. In the chat, okay, we have Infinix adding his or her view. Say very good presentation there, and thank you to add something. In literature review, don't ever use Wikipedia. And number 2, title, research gap, objective, methodology must be interlinked. Yes, so we'll go to the next question, and the question says, does the 20% plagiarism threshold? Yes, does the 20% plagiarism threshold include references and direct quotations?
The 20 the 20%
the threshold for plagiarism, does it include references and direct quotations?
No. Okay, so direct quotes must also be referenced. So if you don't reference a direct quote, okay, you are committed that offense. Okay, but when you are checking for plagiarism, okay, it doesn't include the references, right? If I get you right, are you talking about referencing as in the reference list at the end, or the citations in the text?
I believe he would be talking about the citations in the text, because that is
The
where,
citations?
yes, you'll be referencing somebody's work within your work. Does it fall under plagiarism?
No. You can't commit plagiarism by referencing somebody's work, or by quoting the reference, like by citing the person. But if you quote, if you quote as in quote somebody's statement verbal, you have to cite the person. Yes, but citing as in citing the name and the year in text is not part of the check. No, it's not part of the check.
All right, thank you very much. I believe that answers DA, your question. Emmanuel says, how is the impact factor calculated?
Okay, so for the impact factor, okay, it is calculated based on the number of times, okay, the number of times that work or that journal has been cited, and then also its contribution, its contribution to knowledge in that field, right? So it's how best should I put it? Basically, originality of work. Yes, basically, okay. How the how it contributes to that field of knowledge, okay, in terms of originality of work, and then the number of times that is cited within one year reference time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe, Emmanuel, that answers your question. DA says, if it's always stated at the journal site homepage, oh, okay. We've already answered Emmanuel's, that's a 20%. Yeah, already done that. Okay, Emma wants the PPT shared. I'll talk to the speaker and then have it shared after the talk. We have K. Ajiman asking, please, we want you to use Mendeley to demonstrate briefly how to manage our reference after the presentation. So perhaps
Okay.
after the presentation, we will give you 5 minutes to quickly do that whilst we take the questions quickly. There is also a hand up. Infinix, if you kindly give me a moment. Oh, okay. Mercy says, can we share the PPT? Joseph Pia wants to know. The organization of the manuscript is also important. So if he can elaborate on that, please, the organization of the manuscripts. If he can elaborate on that a bit.
Okay. So for the manuscript, okay. So I would again assume a general case scenario. Okay, for a general case scenario. So you have the title. Okay, so you have the title at the top of the page, and the title should be centered, not bold, like not bolded. Okay, it should be centered, and a maximum font size of 20. That's general case scenario. A maximum font size of 20, and then after that, the list of authors. So the first name is for the main author, and then the others come. Okay, and then beneath it, so each of the authors would have a number as a superscript. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, as many as there is. So then beneath that, you have let's say the address of the various authors. You have the various addresses of the various authors. So if the first author 1 would also have his address. Author 2, 3, 4, 5 will have the address. But then if all the authors are coming from the same institution, the same school, and then they have the same name and they all have the same address, then they are going to have the same number, right? In terms of the address, okay, they're going to have the same number, okay, and then they also have the same number also for the what's the name for the list as well. And then next to it are your keywords. And again, I'm using the general scenario. Next to it are your keywords. So what are the keywords that are used in your in your work. So again, if it's about let's say cooking rice, okay, rice is a form of boiling.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Hello, doctor. Sorry for interrupting. I have a sample. If I can share my screen so that you can use that one to explain it better for easy understanding.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so whilst we wait, let me quickly read Emmanuel's question. Emmanuel's question is, I heard if you have more than 20% plagiarized work, you would be exempted if the highlighted plagiarism part contains part of your previous published work in which you were. Let me go back. My screen is a bit small. Okay, published work in which you were the first author. How true is that?
Yeah, yes, because most of the journal publishers would let you be aware that the work that you are presenting, okay, the work that you are presenting shouldn't be a whole. It shouldn't be a whole or a part of an already established work. So it shouldn't be a whole or a part of an already published work. So if you have published the work somewhere, okay, you shouldn't publish it here again. That notwithstanding, okay, if you are going to use, if you are just trying to add on, if you are trying to add some few information to that to have another publication, then the new information you're adding on should be more than the already information, or should be more than the already the old results you are adding. For example, if about 80% of your results is coming from an old work and only 20% is new information, exactly what just means that you are just reproducing an old work, though it is yours, but you are just reproducing an old work. But if it's the opposite way, let's say 10% of the information or data you are using is from an old work from you yourself, okay, from an old work from yourself, and 90% is new information from new work, no problem. Yes, and don't forget that even if you quote, even in your literary review, okay, if you quote work from your already published work and you don't reference it, you also commit that offense. So in some of the publications, you could see that the author has referenced himself in his own work, which means that it is work that has already been published, but he's still referencing it in his literary review or in his introduction. Yes.
All right, thank you. And we take one more question before we go back to the screen. Please, can I submit my manuscript to different journals at the same time? That's from Prince Bado.
That'd be risky. Yes, you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. Yes, but that notwithstanding, then it means that when one journal accepts your work, you have to withdraw the others. When one accepts your work, you have to withdraw the others, or else if they all get published, one of them can hold you liable for plagiarism. So yes, initially you can, if you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. But again, as soon as one gives you a positive feedback and accepts it, you have to withdraw the rest so that you avoid this issue in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Emmanuel says, does your position as to whether you are the first or 10th author matter? Does it count if you are, say, the 6th author?
Yes, it counts. So if you need a publication, if you need a publication for graduation, okay, and you are the co-artist. Co-artist means that you are either the second, third, or the second, third, fourth, and even the 1,000th author have the same position. They are all co-artists. So the second is no better than the 10th. Okay, if you need a publication to graduate, and you are co-artist for 1,000 published work, okay, you still have not published your own work, it will still not be counted. That if they really want to follow the requirements strictly, then if you're a co-author for 1,000 works, you are still not the main author for any work. So the position counts, especially the first. The second, third, and the subsequent ones are all in the same position. They are co-authors. Yeah, so it counts.
All right, thank you very much. I believe, Emmanuel, that answers your question. So let's quickly go to the structure of the manuscript. If the speaker can wrap it up in 2 to 3 minutes, so we can take the questions and then quickly go into the demonstration for today.
Okay, so basically, okay, manuscript writing is just putting your research findings together, or communicating your research findings to the research community or to the outside world. Okay, but that notwithstanding, we have some tools that do help us to put these ideas and these findings together, but it doesn't also eliminate the human factor, right? And then also, what I would also say as an important point is that like my brother said earlier, okay, you should choose your journal before you start writing, so that you follow their rules, so that you follow their requirements from the onset. Okay, especially if you are meeting a deadline, especially if you are someone who likes working at the 11th hour, so that you don't finish at the 11th hour, then you realize that you have to, change your referencing styles and everything. Okay, yes, and then also, you should be mindful. We should be mindful of the journal that we target for our manuscripts. Okay, and we should be very mindful of that, especially if we want to be recognized in the world of research, so that if your name is mentioned, everybody will know. Then you should look out for journals with high impact factors. Yes, for those ones, their requirements are very stringent. There's high competition, but notwithstanding, if you start at that level, you will surely get there. Because I believe in our various fields, there are some names that occur many times in our reference list. You can realize that it's like every day out of 10 articles you download, you come across this very particular name. Yes, we all want to be there. So let's target a very high impact factored journal, so that we can all be up there, become experts one day. And that's my prayer for us all. Amen.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's go to a question from K. Ajiman. He says, please, how many months does it take for a manuscript to be published in a journal after submitting?
That depends. It slightly depends on availability of reviewers. One, it depends on availability of reviewers. Two, it also depends on how available the reviewer is. So after they have gotten a reviewer, how available is the reviewer? Because some of the reviewers, it will be in their inbox for how long God knows, unless you prompt the publisher, for the publisher to prompt. So at times back and forth comes in, but averagely between 3 to 6 months. Average, because for example, in my field, what I come across in my field of nuclear science, yeah, between 3 to 6 months, yeah, averagely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. There is there's a submission from a colleague. He says from Nana Kwame's submission, I would like to add that you can follow the journal format provided by the speaker and have a base manuscript with all your work. In that case, you can modify your original base manuscript to suit the type of journal's format, or even for different journal formats. I believe it will be better than initially limiting yourself to one journal format in the beginning of your manuscript writing. So in this regard, I think I would come in. I believe the direction as to how we are going to write our manuscript is important. So looking at your time and everything, if your time is limited, I believe it's best you know the formatting of the journal. And also, if you want to have options, it's best for you to have it in the base form such that you can always, switch between them. So basically, sometimes these things, in as much as there's a way of going about it, what works best for you is what you need to look out for. So either ways work, but you just have to look at what's more efficient for you, looking at some parameters that are available to you. So I think I would thank both commenters for that, because that is some very good submissions. So there's question from William. Journal platforms usually state word count for the manuscript. When they are silent, does the word count include the reference or not?
Okay. Frankly, I have no idea about the word count. The word count with journals. I've not come across any. So if any of the 70 plus participants can help us with that.
Oh,
if
all right.
anyone has
I can help with that. So
okay.
with regards to word count, reference the information under the reference does not count. The word count is basically the in-text, the information, the body of the text itself. The referencing doesn't count when it comes to word count.
Okay.
That's what I know.
Thank you.
From Catalina, says, thanks for the presentation. You are awesome. Oh, okay. Speaker,
Mr. Johnson.
I think it was. And
hello, Mr. Johnson.
hello, sir.
So a quick addition to the word count.
Yes.
It will depend on the journal. So if you look at maybe Wiley journals or Wiley, depending on how you want to pronounce it, usually they will indicate that the word count they have stated there exclude references. But if you look at Emerald journals, mostly the word count they indicate encompasses everything in the work. And they are the ones that you are likely to see 8,000 word count, 7,000. If you want to target Emerald journals, then you have to really be straight with what you are writing, because for them, their word counts are few, maximum. If you get an Emerald journal that is taking over 10,000, then they have very few, but majority of them, 8,000. But for the Wiley journals and sometimes to the stranger, you are likely to get those who exceed 10,000 or 10,000, including the references. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that submission. MK, my part. Okay, so I think he's requesting for someone who knows our software. You can share that information with the academic committee of NUGS, and I'm positive they would be able to help you with that. And also, if you can reach out to any of the academic members on board. We have Nana Kwame says, I have it. Oh, okay, you've already done that. There is one from Edwin Owusu. He says, Dr. Deji, could you please share your contact with us? Some of us would like to purchase Grammarly. Thank you. So you can do that. I think I would find out from the speaker if it's okay, and his contact will be shared on the pages so you can reach out to him. Or maybe after this, if he's available, you can share his email or contact, which one he prefers is best, and we can have that. Then there's Peter Kiabi. Please, how can we practically avoid plagiarism, knowing that it would unknowingly happen?
Yeah, so it is for, yeah, it will unknowingly happen. That is why you also have to be very careful about it. And also, it's also the reason why they don't demand 0% plagiarism results from you. Okay, they don't, so there's no way they would demand 0%. For example, I read one important information from the chat. So when you look at, let's say, thesis work is very bulky. We are talking about, some can be close to 100 pages without referencing list. Okay, so they give you that very large allowance. So they permit a certain large percentage, let's say 20%. Okay, so you can plagiarize, in quote, up to 20% of your entire thesis work. But let's say a journal, 20 pages, 15 pages, they still give you that room to plagiarize up to 10% of the work. So they know that you can unintentionally plagiarize. That is why they give you all that space, that even if you unintentionally plagiarize, it shouldn't be more than 10% of the journal work. Yeah, so that's why you have to double check and be sure, especially if you state a fact. So you should in your own work, you should be able to differentiate between statements of facts that are not coming from you and those that are coming from you. You should differentiate those ones that are not coming from you. Okay, you should cite it and reference it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Peter, I believe this answers your question. And there's one from Didi. Please, I want to know if the data of a work that has never been published in previous years, say 2021, for example, if it can be used for an article and published in recent or current years, will there not be a lack of innovation compared to what the different journals are looking for? Just to have some confirmation. Thanks.
Jay, can you read it again?
Okay, so please, I wanted to know if the data of a work that has never been published in previous years, for example, 2021, for example, if it can be used for an article and published in recent or current year, will there not be a lack of innovation compared to what the different journals are looking for? Just to have some confirmation. Thanks.
No, but if it's not been published, okay, if it's not been published, what it basically is that the outside world doesn't know about it. Okay, if it's not been published, then the outside world doesn't know about it. So yeah, if I get you, so you submitted a work, okay, to a journal, and it wasn't published. Okay, it wasn't published, right? And then in subsequent years.
Yeah, hello, sir. We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Perhaps you are not close to your microphone.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
You are a bit far away.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's okay, but it's still a bit further than before.
Oh, I'm very closer to the system.
Okay,
Hello,
okay.
can
I
you hear
think
me?
it's better now.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. So what I'm saying is that if I get the question, so you submitted a manuscript and it wasn't published. Then in subsequent years, you want to publish it. Okay. Unpublished work, right? Unpublished work basically means it's not being, let's say, known to the outside world. Okay. And then it hasn't also been, let's say, given a DOI. You know, every published work has a DOI, and like it has its identity and all those. Okay. So if it's not been published and you want to publish it in another journal, and don't forget that again, if that information, okay, has not been presented for, let's say, a degree, a master's or PhD, okay, and has been uploaded into a certain source file somewhere, then there's no problem if you go ahead to publish, use that data to publish in subsequent years. Okay. But if it has been published already, or it has not been published, but it has been used for a degree somewhere, okay, then the only caveat here is that, again, the only caveat here is that if you want to use that data to publish, don't forget, you have to cite it. Okay, you have to cite it. Though it has not been published, but you have used it for a degree somewhere, okay, then it is known on the internet. It is known outside there, because that school is going to put it out there in the world, like is going to put it out there to the world. So using it, you have to you have to cite it. Okay, but again, if it has not been published, you can use that information and publish it in subsequent years, because it not being published means that it was rejected. Like, that's just what it means. Like, it was rejected. So you can go ahead and then find another journal, add some few information to it, and then just go on and then publish it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. I believe that answers your question, Didi. So the subsequent information we have here is to give us further information. Infinix says format differs based on the publishing company, and two, for the sake of our new generation of brothers and sisters, we need to use technology wisely. We don't want them depending on the AI. So with that regards, I'm a bit into that space because that's what I do the most. But I would say whatever AI gives you, it's not an original work. AI doesn't produce original work. All they do is it's more efficient. They have been trained and they learn. So they take other people's work, and the answers or the results they are giving you are basically other people's work. So there's nothing new that an AI is giving you. AI is not into creation now. They just give you whatever it's already there. So I, on the other hand, would always say that let it be more of a guide than a solution. Let it guide you as to what you want to do than using it as a solution. Because the moment you do that, you are basically reproducing somebody else's work. And there's nothing new in there. So that would be my advice when it comes to working with these AI technologies. Don't rely heavily on it because they are being updated. Whatever you do today, it gets updated based on that. So if you want, you can just try an example. You could do something that the results that the AI is going to give you might say, you might tell the AI that what the result the AI gave you is wrong, and this is the correct answer. If you ask the AI that same question, the AI will produce your answer to you. So it is not learning anything, it's just picking everything that people have already done. So we need to be very careful when we are using it, but they can give very good guidelines as to how to go about projects and whatnot. So that would be my advice. And we have ECOFI. The journals have ATA guidelines, which specifies the word count and paper section it covers. I recommend that he or she reads it to format the paper before submission. Thank you. Yes. So it is always important that you always read the paper guidelines. Always give you how to go about whether their word counts, their how to format their titles and all that. Everything will be given with the journal. So it's always good to get to know that as well. Edwin also says, please, how much does the journal charge for each publication? And I think that is also dependent on the journal. You will find it when you read about the journal in their pricing, and you would know how much they charge for all these things. And I think that will be that for our questions. If there are no more questions, guest speaker, are you in the position to briefly take us to, like in like 5 minutes, take us to how the Mendeley citation works before we close? I think we have like 8 more minutes till our time is done. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let me you can all see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see your screen. We can see your chat as well.
Okay. Just trying to get a Word document briefly. Okay.
What Word version are you using so that we know which features we should look for? Because I think some versions don't have certain features. Yeah.
I'm using Microsoft 365.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hope okay. So it works like mainly through the internet, saving your works and then the rest. Okay. So this is you can all see. Can you see some Chinese characters?
Yes, we can see. Is that your thesis work? You might be tempted to plagiarize,
That's actually a part of it. That's actually a part of it. But it's just a. Oh no! This is my master's work though. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why the Chinese characters keep. Okay, so for Mendeley, you have to. So number one, you have to first get the Mendeley software, right? It's free. It's free, but the current versions don't work. It's only the old versions that work. So you get the old version and then you update. But if you want to get the current versions, it doesn't work. So if anyone wants the old version and then would later updates, I can make that available to the person. So this is how Mendeley works. So after you download the Mendeley, okay, you have to actually how do I take out even this thing at the top there? Okay, so let me just bring it down. Okay, so when you get Mendeley, you have to link it to your Word. Okay, you have to link your reference to your Word. That's a Mendeley. So you go to references. Okay, so when you after you link it, okay, you see the icon here. You can also see the cursor, right? So you see it here. That's the insert citation. You see it here. Okay. So let me now open the Mendeley. So for the Mendeley, you should have all your references in there. Okay, you should have all your references in the Mendeley, or as and when you read an article, you can push it in. So if I have, do I have an article on my, okay. So this is it. So this is a Mendeley app, right? Good. So let's say I make a statement. I make a statement here in my Word. Okay, so I make a statement here in my Word, right? You cannot see. So let's say that so let's say the food is late. Okay, so I want to reference this. So I go to insert citation up there, right? Insert citation. But before that, you can go to your style. So let's say formally you are at the home, okay, the home tab, and then you move to references, and then you change your referencing style. So you have the whole list of referencing styles here, right? As I stated in my PPT, you have all of them here. But what I am using now is the IEE. So that's what I'm using now. The IEE is the one that uses the square brackets, okay, as you can see. So I go to insert citation. So I put the cursor where the citation should be, okay, as you can see on the screen. Then I go to insert citation. Then it says go to Mendeley. So it sends me to the software, Mendeley. So I don't have to open it again. It sends me to the software. Then, assuming I want to, so this is where I had my information from. The food is late. Okay, I had it from this. Now, there's one thing about Mendeley. Okay, it gives you, so it's already what it does, that whether the article is a conference proceedings, is a journal, or whatever it is, you don't decide. Okay, it decides for you automatically. So you have the list over here, but as soon as you pick, it decides for you. Okay, and then it lists the artist and everything here for you. The journal, the year, the volume, everything is done. Right now, so if this is what I want to do, I now click this to highlight it. Then I go to cite. You see cite at the top there with the quotation sign there. I click, and then it sends me back to Word. So you see it over the number 1. So it's because I'm using the double, the IEE, it uses numbers and not names. Okay, so it brings me back to the Word document, and then label it as my first reference in my text. So you could see, so it is here, right? And then when you go down the referencing list, down the referencing list, you see the details over there. So that's the detail. So you see it over here as number 1, right? So that is how it works. So if I want to change, my referencing style, from the IEE, what I just do is, so let's see. So let's see if I want to use the APA, right? The APA. So by doing that, it's going to, like work it out. Let me be faster with it. Okay, so I pick the AEE, and then the work is very voluminous, so it takes time to work out. It's quite bulky. Yeah, so it's still working on it. It's quite bulky.
All right. So whilst we wait on it, I believe that
Okay.
since the time is up, we will probably maybe convene and then have another another seminar, another talk specifically for just referencing,
Yeah.
so we can have a
Yes.
hands-on experience of how all these referencing works. So
Yes.
on this note,
I'll be
Mr. Speaker,
very glad to do that.
thank
Yes,
you
I'll be very
very
glad to
much.
do that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Could you kindly share your contacts so that the contacts that you want the members to reach out to you on briefly?
Okay.
And yes, so the contacts are on the screen. You can take a screenshot or you can record, and then you can get in touch with him, and then you can have further discussions. We were supposed to end by 1 hour 45 minutes. However, the discussion was very interesting and help was going back and forth. So I used my creative powers to push the time a bit. Professor Eben, I hope you are not offended by me taking 15 more minutes as we expected. All right. So on this note, I would say a very big thank you to our speaker. We are grateful and we are honored that you took time off your busy schedule to be here and then share some knowledge with us. We hope that in the near future, when we call on you for subsequent trainings, you'll be willing and happy to help us as you have done today. We really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this.
Yeah, thank you very much for the audience too.
Thank you. Thank you. So on this note, I would say a very big thank you to all the participants who took time off to learn something new. In my opinion, time taken off to learn something new is not time wasted at all. In a way, indirectly, it's going to help us. So on this note, I would also want to let you know that this is not the end of the training. The academic unit of the National Union of Ghana Students China, as well as the HICF academic unit, will be working hand in hand to provide more of such trainings to you. And we believe that when we call on you, you take some time off to learn something new. So on this now, say thank you, and then we hope to see you again. Similarly, we are going to have another talk, which is about presentation, how to present our work and how to also, have the skill of presentation. That will be same time next week. We look forward to have you all participate again. Thank you very much and have a splendid weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.